is, why are African American people underrepresented in the academy as college professors or as students? 14% of the American population is African American, but yet the number of African Americans who are professors in colleges and universities is about 3 or 4%. Only 3 or 4% of black people are college professors. Why? In fact, when you get to the legal profession, only 2% are in the legal profession. But not only that, why is there such a major underrepresentation of students and faculty in the areas of sciences, mathematics and sciences, engineering, for example, medicine, finance? Why do we have a shortage of African American people in these areas of professional areas, unlike Asian Americans who are pretty high? Those are the three burning questions I want us to discuss today. I'm beginning a series of having a conversation with young African American professors at universities and colleges. I'm going to do a series of them to ask these young professors in colleges and universities, young black professors in colleges and universities, why? Why are African Americans not well represented at the universities, even in the social sciences, but particularly in the sciences, say finance, math, and engineering? What's going on? Why is it that essentially what we do most is to entertain? Why are we so obsessed about entertainment as opposed to real classic education and representation in that area? You have an answer? Well, let me know. But help us navigate this burning matter. I am beginning a series of conversations, again, with young black professors across several universities in the United States. They are in the burner. They know what's going on. They will tell us why this is happening. We'll begin today with our guest, a young professor who teaches statistics, finance, and economics at Towson University in Maryland. Dr. Dubi Nwadura received his bachelor's and master's degree from Temple University and his PhD in financial economics from the University of New Orleans. He's the first guest we're going to have. Next week, we're going to be talking to Professor Stewart, who is the African-American female professor here at Temple University. She's going to talk to us about that, too. So, Dr. Dubi, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm not sure if you can see me, but thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be on your show, and I really want people to hear about some of the challenges that are prevalent in the system that might dissuade people from pursuing majors like statistics or finance or science particularly. Again, and I know you're doing a series here, so I don't expect my answers to be the same as others. That's one of the good things about doing a series. Each has their own unique perspective, and each is going to have their own unique sort of answer to the questions we're asking. So yeah, I'm just here to kick off a conversation that I think lots of people need to hear.
Okay. First question is, at what time in your education did you develop interest in mathematics, finance, and accounting?
Well, at what time in my education? Well, that probably before it. So when I was young in New Hampshire, we didn't have TV. We didn't have much. We had books, and I used to do math all the time. So I was just a math person, and I could read well. So really, before I started school, I was already advanced in reading and mathematics. And basically, I think what happens a lot to people is that they're discouraged from math. It becomes hard to them. I can't do math. It's something that I've heard so much, and that's why I teach finance primarily, but the class that I enjoy teaching the most is actually statistics, because there are so many people who say, I've already failed this class 3 times, I can't do math, and I've had dozens of students who have failed the class before and got an A in my class, and there's no difference in the subject matter. The only difference is the delivery. So lots of people have a scale, a fence, a hurdle, a mental hurdle in their mind that they can't do something that they actually can. And for me, that hurdle was never really prevalent. It never really came to mind because, I was a math guy before I even started school. But lots of people have the ability to do these things and don't know that they can because historically, they say, okay, we don't do math. Even though they use it in other things, and I'll get to some of those areas where they're using math and they don't even know it. But So yeah, just in general, it's sort of a historical thing where I'm gonna go away from math and go towards something that gives me a more tangible product.
Okay.
Whether it's entertainment, like you said, sports, etc. Here I can make my mark right away. Whereas I don't want to stay in school for that long, etc., etc. So they don't see the value in the topic moving forward.
So it's a value issue. If you just joined us, by the way, we're having a series of conversations with African American professors who are under 40 years old. And we have today Dr. Dubi Wadira, who is the professor of statistics at University of Towson State University in Maryland. He's giving us his overview about his teaching of statistics at the university and how our young black kids can be motivated or interested, have passion in the sciences, which an area that we are very highly underrepresented. If you have any questions or call, please give us a call here at 215-634-8065. Toll-free number is 1-866-361-0900. And, of course, we're heard on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're also on Tumblr. That's our number here. We're talking to young African-American professors at colleges and universities. There have about 5 or 6 of them for the next few weeks. You say there's a hurdle, some kind of a disinterest, some kind of a value issue. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I know it's sort of like in business, we call it sometimes barriers of entry, right?
Barriers of entry.
Yeah, so if I'm a high school student and I'm interested, let's say I'm good at math, right? Why would I want to pursue math? Because I don't see any practical application to this math geometry besides 7th, 8th grade. They don't see the forest for the trees. You know, they're saying whatever I do now needs to help my family right now, or it needs the immediate gratification, so to speak. Okay, so let's say if I pick up the basketball, or if I go to the radio, or if I do this, I can tangibly produce these results in the next 2-3 years. Whereas something like math or science or being a doctor, it takes so much time, and people don't see the lasting effect that it might have on their family going forward, and on the neighbors around them. So lots of the time, when you talk about the inner city, my main thing I say is that the reason why people don't take finance or accounting is that, you know, lots of people have never seen, or I mean, it's changing now greatly, but lots of the time they don't grow up around people who have jobs in finance or accounting or statistics. So if you've never seen something, how are you supposed to pursue it? Okay. Even now, I'm relatively young, and I've had people in my class, and they say, look, you being the teacher made me realize I can get a degree in finance. And I don't view myself as some sort of a role model or anything at all. But it's just a young black guy or a young African-American in my student, or a woman, and they're saying, look, if you can do it, I can do it too. Whereas before, if all you see about finance is a bunch of people who don't look like you, why do I pursue that? I see. Right? So I want to go towards, the brain naturally, I think, tends to go towards where they're more comfortable, right? So you need to, if people aren't comfortable with these programs and with these disciplines early on, then they tend to not move in that direction. That's why, actually, one of the things I'm looking towards hopefully doing this fall is starting some sort of an outreach program to teach math in the Baltimore inner city. Like I was reading some numbers about, and I teach, even the college level kids aren't really good at it. They're deficient at math. So I know I could have a great impact in that. But more than the impact, it's about the destigmatization of it. I'm a black guy now I'm a black guy, and I can talk to them like they talk to me. The reason why I'm successful at teaching statistics and finance is because what some academics like to do is over-jargonize, I say. Let's use these big words to make what I'm saying sound complicated. When in reality, if you just break it down to its core elements, even statistics, which looks crazy on a board, can be broken down to the most basic elements so that anybody can understand it. And it's not a theory. It was a theory, but I've practiced it for 6-7 years, and I've been successused at it. So I think that sort of proves it to a certain extent.
Very good. We have a slew of callers here already from Massachusetts, where you used to live. As a Joseph, waiting to have a conversation with us. Joseph, welcome to the show. What's your question or comment for Dr. Dubi?
So, hello, Dr. Becca, and to your guest. it's an obvious reason why you don't see more professors, especially black men. It's part racism, it's part personal choice. I'll tell you from past experience.
Okay.
But just to start off your comment, I was at the University of Houston. I was taking a black psychology class, and they changed the class back or forward.
Yeah.
So I was early to the class, and then on the board they had calculus too. And the formula on the board just turned me off so bad. And when I look around the class, I didn't see no blacks. I didn't see no Hispanic. And I only see like one or two white. They were mainly Korean and Chinese. Now, so let me pass feedback to my experience why I choose. Ever since I came to America, I always had special class for reading and writing. Reading and writing was my weakest subject. It still is. I made it through college. But I was always good at math. I remember tutoring 2 Korean kids in 4th grade. I always tutored kids in math. But when I was in 8th grade, I was always in that misbehaved class, that class right above special ed. So I had to take classes with other students, mainly Asian students, 9th grade algebra, when I was in 8th grade. But my homeroom class, misbehaved class, they had 2 classes of gym. And dodgeball was my favorite unofficial sport. And I tried my best to get out of that class. I did everything. I begged the teacher. He told me, I said, it's hard for me. I will pass it. But he said, you got to apply. You're doing good. You pass it. But I wanted to play dodgeball. So it's always the easiest route. It's like, and then where racism comes in, I'm going to finish up. Where racism comes in, my high school track coach nominated me for the Dave Winfield Scholarship Award that's given out to top students in the school, athlete students. You got to write an essay called Body and Soul. So there was a girl who was nominated for her named Tracy. She was on the track team, the volleyball team, the basketball team. She wrote for the school papers. She had a B+ average, and I had a C average. So when I went to the counselor, she told the girl, she knew I'm there to apply for the same scholarship. She told, oh, Tracy, you're going to win. You're good at this. Ain't nobody else needs to apply. So I turned back around and walked out the counselor's office. And until the Athlete Dinner Award, they nominated me the most valuable athlete. And the coaches, a lot of coaches, actually, I'll finish up, they told me, why didn't you apply for the Dave Winfield Scholarship Award? We would have nominated you. You were the one. So like Malcolm X said in 4th grade, he told the teacher he wanted to be a physician. She said, you be a good carpenter, why don't you work? So they get particularly black men towards stuff that's easy instead of applying. Anyway, have a good day.
Thank you, Joseph, for your explanation. Yes, I think Malcolm X said he wanted to be a lawyer, and he was told, no, you can use your hands, if I remember that story. We're having a conversation today about the hard sciences, why African-American kids are not interested so much. They are not pushed in that direction as opposed to Asian kids. What is it about us that we are more interested in entertainment instead of using our brains? That's our discussion today. Reverend Joe has been waiting patiently to have a conversation with us. Reverend Joe, you have a question or a comment for Dr.
Good
Duggan?
afternoon, Dr. Beckett. I'm not under 40, but I do have an answer, and I'm honored to be on your show along with you. Yes. Number one, education is what you remember when you forgot what you learned. Number 2 is racism that's stopping all this stuff. I think things are not worse. I think our awareness may be higher as according to white supremacy. I'm more aware now than I used to be. I think things have been bad all the time. And I think we are discouraged not to do anything academically. When I was in Northeast High School, they told all the black students to quit and get a job. They never told you about you should go to college, especially not a black college. They never mentioned that word at all. So I think until we can get some older people to encourage a person that has some potential that you can make it. Matter of fact, we have a lady in our church. She couldn't get her PhD from Temple. Her father had to go up to the school and make them give her a PhD because she had done all the work. So racism is real, white supremacy is real. So we have to get more people overachievers like yourself, become friends with a person like yourself, and you can after school can say, well, meet me in my office, and I'll tell you what you should do. Don't give up. Just keep doing this, and they got to give it to you. So your show is so important every Saturday. We need you on 5 days a week. I know that's impossible, but you got to encourage more people. They can do more than play basketball. Arthur Ashe told the tennis students, it's okay to play tennis, but you got to spend as much time in the library as you do trying to play tennis or playing basketball.
Very important.
So that's my answer.
Reverend Joe, welcome. Thanks for the show. Appreciate that.
Right.
The idea of racism and being discouraged. We have 2 more callers here, but I'm going to go back to Dr. Doobie. And the Reverend says it's racism. Is it racism?
And it's, well, of course it is, but I think to a certain extent you have to be sort of prepared for that, aware of it. And what it seems like to me is that people are saying I had a higher hurdle to jump over than others. But what about resilience, right? So your first caller said that he had Calc 2, and then he came in and he dropped the class because it looked crazy. Yes. And I would have asked him, what do you regret that decision though? Okay, because I experienced racism since I was 3 years old, 4 years old, every year in my life. People told me, you aren't in this class. Why are you in this class? You're too young to be in this class. You can't be a teacher. You can't be this. You can't be that. And I don't know, maybe the mental mindset that helped me push through it, but that's what I wanted to do. To me, the challenge made me want to prove it more. Almost in some ways, if I wasn't challenged, I might have been, just not that anything's wrong with a bachelor's degree, but just getting an accountant, make my little money. But the fact that people were telling me what I couldn't do when I knew I could. So maybe it comes back to the internal sense. I knew I could do it, so I don't care if you tell me I can't do it when I know I can. I'm going to do it anyways.
So you use the word resilience.
And I'm hearing people say it's the racism, and it is. I could have stopped. I've been rejected from tons of programs, but I got it. I made it here. So don't let, and for young people who are listening to this stuff, I do understand it was much harder in, earlier days, but do not let racism get in the way of who you truly are. You have to sort of sadly expect a certain amount of it, and then do your best to prosper through it.
Okay. We're going to go to JB from Philly. I don't know, what part of Philly are you, JB? JB wants to you have a question or comment for Dr. Doobie, correct?
God bless.
Dr.
Mecca, how are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Give thanks. God bless your guests, too, sir. How are you today?
Very good. God bless.
Give thanks. And God bless all the listeners, WRD family. Hearts go out to all the victims of the pandemic and the plandemic and these destructive systems in general, nationally and worldwide. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Mecca, I was going to answer this real quick, and I mean this as no insult. But let's not stereotype ourselves into believing that the halls of academia are the only standard for assess black genius. For example, as far as blacks in the realm of science, we have many black people who are thriving off pittance. That's finance and mathematics greater than you can get from a university. And they learn it just from hands-on. No one taught them, figured it out on their own. These are geniuses.
Absolutely. We had the guy from South.
Scientific and technical genius. You look at hip-hop. Hip-hop was something was made out of nothing. And you had people with no access to any equipment making their own equipment.
Yeah.
So that's technical genius,
it is.
Scientific genius, invention genius. So let's not just assume the halls of academia determine the black genius.
No, I'm not talking about that. We're saying in the academy, that we're focusing on the academy today, not in general. Why do we have very small representation of African Americans in the sciences? That's a fact.
And I would answer that by saying it's not promoted for us. Number one,
it's not promoted.
We're talking about the great contributions we've made to science on a global scale, both ancient and modern. I know Ivan Van Sertima has a book called Blacks in Science that talks about all the black people, specifically in the United States during enslavement and afterward, who contributed to the scientific genius that we enjoy now.
So we're not promoted, that's what you're saying, JB. Thanks for your call. Appreciate that. We're going to move on because there's so many callers here today. Promotion is very important. We're not promoted. I know, I personally have met Ivan Van Sertima, who was teaching at Rutgers University for many years. We're going to move on with Darcel from South Philly. Darcel, welcome to the show. You have a comment or question for Dr. Doobie?
Yep. Hi. Good afternoon, both of you, Dr. Doobie, Dr. Mecca. It's just so God is good with this conversation. But two comments about it, if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
So why they aren't really, a high percentage in terms of what we're talking about going into those STEM fields.
Yes.
I think as children, we should introduce them to all different types of, areas of the academic, arts, music, science, because that builds up the math, confidence. The sports even builds up analytical, analyze, and so forth and so on. Yeah. But to put them into reading selective television shows at a young age, and just like he said, not much television going on, encouraging about certain types of math, just expose them to all of the areas of life. And I want to say congratulations, but I have two personal family members, or one more so than the other, but that graduated with a bachelor's in environmental science. Oh, good. 2019 and got a minor, in African American studies, with hydrology and the study of water. Hydrology, environmental sustained policy.
Congratulations!
Science. Congratulations! Yes, thank you. And the second one, engineer for. And now he's going to be designing medical tools. Wow. And these are like what we're talking about, the subject matter today.
Good, Darcel. Congratulations again. I appreciate. I said congratulations. I appreciate the call.
Right, and like you said, the subject matter where parents have them just sit and even hear these kind of conversations. Yeah. And then you just praise it into existence, and one day you just keep following the path that you want to introduce them to the world of a worldview and all of that.
Don't limit their exposure. Don't limit their exposure. Don't let them be exposed to all disciplines, not just certain things. So as long as they're exposed to science and math and reading and etc., but not just the one area.
And the belief is there, and it's God showed the fruition, and it came.
Darcel, I'm kind of curious. What did you do? How did you motivate your kids to go into the engineering and the sciences as a mother? Or what did you do anything specific?
Well, I listened to people like you, Dr. Melissa, Yahemba, people that are just rooted in spirituality and belief of God, and limiting to television, giving more of family time and exposing them to the world. Plus, there were a lot of free things to sacrifice on nights after work. You take them to, and just loving them and giving them confidence and going to the right, even not the right schools, but participating when you can in the school settings and speak up for, the children, not just your child, but all the children, so they can be on worldview, people that get along with, the world, and know that their culture is important.
Thank you.
It's not, what can I say? It's just don't take a second back. They're all on the same attitude as far as having good self-esteem.
Thank you,
what do we do?
Yeah.
I'm just so blessed today, overwhelmed that you're talking about this subject. Yeah, it's just an unbelievable.
Thank you, Darcel, for your call. Keep up the good work, Darcel, and congratulations. Say hi to your son in the sciences. We're having a conversation with Dr. Dube. He's the professor of statistics at Towson State University. The question today is, how come our young people are not interested in the sciences, except in, the social sciences, essentially, or entertainment? What's the problem? What's going on here? When we were actually the first scientists, everybody knows that, historically speaking. We have Tyrone from North Philadelphia. Tyrone, you want to have a conversation? Oh, we'll have to go on a short break. I didn't see it. We'll have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with Tyrone and then Albert in that order. We'll be right back.
In Pennsylvania, everyone counts, and everyone needs to participate in the census. Our population count determines our voice in government and how much federal funding our communities receive for health care, food assistance, education, transportation, housing, and more. So every infant and child, every foreign and U.S. citizen, everyone matters. For a stronger future, we all need to count. To learn more, go to pa.gov/census.
PECO has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at forward. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
We're back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. On today's edition of the show, we're going to have a conversation with series of conversations with African American academics, African American professors, teachers at the universities, and trying to find out from them what is it that makes African American young people not interested in the sciences, in the hardcore sciences, finance, medicine, computer science, and that. And on today's edition, we're having a conversation with one such person, one such guest. His name is Duby, and he's a professor of statistics at Towson University. Our next question comes from Tyrone. Tyrone, welcome to the show. Hello, Tyrone. Hello, Tyrone.
Oh.
I can hear you. We've lost you. Tyrone, are you there?
Yes. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Doing fine, sir. How about you?
Okay. Hey, Doc.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to get Jonathan Lee on the phone, because Jonathan Lee is one of the individuals that I think, in terms of Philadelphia, is one of the key players in bringing STEM education into the city. He's working with Chad. Oh, man, I forgot Chad's last name.
Okay.
But Chad is the president of the, what's the terrible, your mind is a terrible thing to waste or something?
That's right. That's United Negro Fund.
You're right. He is one of the key players in that.
I see.
So, I was trying to get him on the line. But anyway, let me take a little shot at it. First, I'd like to thank the gentleman, the doctor, for sharing his information. But I definitely disagree with the statement that one of the reasons why we're not in the field is because of folks not willing to invest the time.
Okay.
I think that's well, I don't want to use the word, ludicrous, because one of the things that is an issue for us as, Afro-Americans is that everything we do, we got to fight for, struggle for, and battle for.
True.
Everything that when we are in the schools or academia, we are still fighting institutional racism.
Absolutely.
And then if we are able to complete, we go back to our neighborhoods and our community, we're caught up with trying to deal with all of the barriers that are already set within the community.
Sure.
So the difference between why I think we're not in it is because we get caught up where white folks have an opportunity to create an ecosystem that allows them to use their degree to create, financial obligation, financial wherewithal, but black folks don't have that opportunity to create, an ecosystem around finance.
Well, I'm talking about how come, Tyrone, the question is, how come our young people do not gravitate towards the sciences more as opposed to the social sciences?
Can I jump in? Because I actually agree with the caller, Tyrone. Go ahead.
The reason I'm saying that is because there is not a financial stimulus around these things that allow young folks to get in it and be able to deal with all the things that they are embedded within the community because there's no ecosystem. Around, technology, math.
Let's hear from the guest.
In our community.
Let's hear from the guest here. Tyrone.
I actually agree with the caller, Tyrone. With Mr. Tyrone. One of the things I was saying in a different conversation was, for instance, I went to school. My first degree was in accounting, right? The majority of people who I went to school with, they, by the time they were 8 years old or 10 years old, they pretty much knew, as long as I get through high school, I go to college and I get a bachelor's degree, my life is set up, okay? This is the majority. I would say 95% of not 95, but lots of the people who I hung out with at the schools that I went to. So it was already set up for them. So they say, let me just get a business degree, general business. They can work for their dad's business, right? Versus people my age and around my age and my age bracket didn't have that ecosystem like the caller uses. So they were almost doing it independently.
I see.
So I got an accounting degree. I barely knew what accounting was. I just wanted to utilize my skills. So you're taking almost a leap of faith. So I agree with that point there, that it's harder to take a leap of faith when you don't have that fallback option. Okay, most high school people from a good school district have family businesses or are family friends. They know they get here and their rest of their life is set up. We, as black people, don't have that, so that is a major discouragement. And that's, maybe I might have omitted that or not said that earlier, but that's definitely one of the points that I've talked about in the past.
Tara, does that make sense? I mean,
can I give you one more example?
Please do.
Yes, sir.
Look, when the pandemic hit, and there was, I can't remember the school district. The day they shut down the school, this school district right next to Philadelphia gave all their students the next day. All the families had to do is pull up to the school, grab a computer, and keep it moving. The next day. Now, I know for a fact that, Comcast has given our school district $5 million for us to get
computers,
laptops and things and notebooks for the children.
This would be very
we
ecosystem.
Still didn't get notebooks and nothing for the children almost a month, 4 to 6 weeks after the schools were closed. See, I mean, that's the difference.
Right.
I mean, it's systemic.
Structural. It's
structural. Systemic.
Yeah, systemic.
And that's why we are not in it, because there is nothing to push us in it, and there's nothing that allow us to enhance it if we are in it.
I see. Taryn, thanks for the call.
That's what I think.
Yes, sir. You're still the warrior in the community. You were my student some 26 years ago. I can't believe Tyrone is still fighting for justice. Good job. We're having a conversation with Dr. Dubi Nwadura. He's the professor of statistics at Towson University, and he's here to talk to us about how to encourage young black people, young men, to enroll at the universities and be in the sciences. He is a professor of statistics at the university, and he's talking to us about his own experience. When we come back, we have to go to Albert, by the way. Albert from South Philly. Albert, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dr. Mecca, what's up?
Not much, really.
How are you, Doctor?
Doing, which doctor now? Doobie or Dr. Mecca?
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Mecca,
yes.
Man, racism and white supremacy and everything is something else, right? And I think they keep us confused.
Confused?
Our young, whereas though that the culture that we come up in is difficult, and it's not like a template set for us to follow to make our culture just gear everything towards the youth.
Okay.
And I always had this idea, like if I had a lot of money, right, that I would open up overnight schools and take our youth and just educate them culturally, teach them how to behave, and teach them what is important, and have model employees who work there and show them the way. And I remember when I was in grade school, I was about in 5th grade, and I had a epiphany, and I looked around, and I looked inside, and I said, ain't nothing here is geared towards my success.
Okay.
And I felt so inadequate, and I knew that it wasn't geared towards me. But if I was in a healthy place,
yeah, you probably
culturally,
I see,
and had someone showing me, right, it might have been different.
So cultural education is so critical, Albert. Thanks for your call. Appreciate that. We're going to move on with Diane from South Philly. Diane, welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Mecca and Dr. Doobie. I think, I have 4 children, but the schools, it seemed like I think it's the school district fault. Because when we send our kids to these inner city public schools,
yes,
it seems like they get the worst teachers that don't hardly know anything to teach our children.
Okay.
Because when my son was in high school, when I was in high school, when they came into the science class, they just gave them paperwork. I mean, what's that? Ran on paper, gave it to the children. And they had no class, didn't teach them how to do class or gerb. When I was in high school, we was excited to go to science because they had the gerbils in there, and then we plant stuff. We went in there to see did our plant grow, but they don't have anything like that in our inner city schools. They may have like maybe 2 or 3 schools are doing good, but all the schools should be doing good.
Okay.
So to me, it's designed to hold our children back. And in my case, my children was able to go to an African-centered school, which they did very well.
Okay.
And then I put them in outside program, like upper band program.
Okay.
Every program I can put them in. I put them in because if you don't do that, our children are hate the science, are hate math. So I blame it on the school system. I mean, we got to do our part, too, as parents. But a lot of parents do not know what to do. A lot of them have 2 or 3 jobs.
Right.
They don't have time to put their children, and staying outside the school. So to me, it seems like our school system and the black community is designed to hold our children back, and it's like a pipeline to prison.
Thank you, Dan, for your call. Pipeline to prison. There's a book, by the way. Dr. Doobie, you want to make a comment on that?
No, it was just powerful when you said it's a pipeline to prison.
Yeah.
I've talked before also about, when the resources aren't there, especially I was reading in Baltimore here where I live that they surveyed and something like 1 or 2% of the African American students passed the math proficiency test, and that's because of the teachers there. So there is obviously if your school district isn't well funded, you're going to have poor teachers, and the people aren't going to be interested in these areas. One last thing before we go is that I've heard the term STEM several times from your callers about STEM funding, and to me, that's within the last 10 or 15 years. I never heard STEM. Maybe I was ignorant to it. I never heard anything about STEM funding until 10, 15 years ago. So it's changing now, slightly. Even now, in my finance course, there's 10, 15 black people in my class, right? Whereas when I was in school, there was no black people in my program, really. So it's changing now, but we want to make sure that we keep pushing the change, okay? And look for ways to keep progressing in this area. It will take at least a generation to shake out, but we're making steps. We want to continue on the right path.
A whole generation. We're having a conversation with Dr. Doobie Wadira. He's the professor of statistics and finance at Towson University. He's our guest today. I'm having a series of conversations with African-American professors, young professors, not more than 40, less than 40 years old, and he's giving us his own experiences and ideas today. We have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with, I think, Patrick, Charles, and Woody. We'll be right back.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. Start saving more for retirement now so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
A message brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
And we're back. It's the Dr. Emeka Show. On today's edition of the show, we're having some questions that I think our guest today is trying to help us to navigate the shortage of African-American young people as professors in the university, or the shortage of African-American young people entering the universities to study the sciences. What is responsible for that? And we have Patrick. Patrick from New Jersey is here. Patrick, you have a question or comment for Dr. Dube, do you?
Absolutely. So my thought is that, and it's not a thought, I can prove it with some statistics after I say this, is that black children in schools seem to be there to be disciplined, not educated.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes through until they're adults, where
then they go to prison.
Discipline that, if you've seen some of the racists out there in their comments, they claim that there's no, morals, basically. So they have to enforce morals, even on small children. And that is a sickness. That is a part of white supremacy, as you had said before, it's a disease. And in New Jersey, here's some stats for you. A black student is 5.4 times more likely to be suspended as a white student.
5 times?
5.4 times as likely. Now, the same statistics switch, though, to go to opportunity. The AP classes, white students are 2.5 times as likely to be enrolled as in at least one AP class as black students.
Now, AP stands for?
Advanced placement.
Okay.
Advanced placement.
So if you go down, you look a little further, right, and you see, you go to out-of-school suspensions and expulsions, right? So in New Jersey, 16% black, 25% Hispanic, 47% white, right?
Okay.
Out-of-school suspensions, 42% black, 30% Hispanic, and 23% white.
Okay.
Expulsions, 32% black, 21% Hispanic, 44% white.
Pretty discouraging statistics right there, Patrick. We can just round up now because we're going to go to Germany. Somebody's calling us from Germany. And so you're saying discipline is the issue. That sort of dissuades our students, our kids, from even planning to go into the sciences. That's a factor. That's what you're saying, right, Patrick?
I'm saying you become frustrated with the system that's there to hurt you and not help you.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Patrick, for your call. Rick from Germany. Rick, welcome to the show.
Has anybody mentioned toxic food and drink? If you give people poison water, if you give them poison food, they're not going to do well at sports, and they're not going to do well at school.
Food related. Interesting.
Water especially.
Oh, water especially. Okay.
Water especially. Any inner city water system is full of toxins, not just Flint, Michigan.
Okay. We know about Flint, Michigan, right. I see, Rick. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. That's a whole different way of looking at the situation.
I think one of the points that the last two callers were making is based off just the idea of sort of generational racism, right? The structure, the system. And of course, I think that sort of goes without saying that, if a school district is underfunded, it's going to lead them to, the students are going to be less educated and they're almost set up to fail, so to speak. I think my main point I want to get to is that let's say that we're on a common ground, so to speak, which is very theoretical. Even then, are we being pushed towards a certain major? Let's just talk about high school kids who graduate high school and what majors they pick going into college. Okay, why is it then that it's journalism or sports or sports management instead of statistics or economics or finance? And that's changing now, but of course we can't really we don't have enough time to talk about the generations and the 400 years of institutional oppression that causes lots of this. But yeah, so let's as we can try to focus more on moving forward.
Okay. The linkage of water to academic discipline or academic work is very interesting. That Rick brought from all the way from Germany. We're going to go to Charles from Philly. Charles, welcome to the show. What part of Philly are you calling from, sir?
Hi, I'm calling from North Philly.
North Philly. That's where I live. So, welcome to the show. And you have a comment or question for Dr. Dubie?
Yeah, just a comment. I would like to piggyback on what some of the people have been saying about, I believe the early childhood education, learning your history in the early years, having that self-esteem. Like, I think, early childhood education taught our young black boys and girls, that we invented these math and science and disciplines that we're actually studying. Their confidence that's the type of cultural confidence they need to move forward. You can't do it when they get to 7th, 8th grade because they already have identified that they think that even the teachers, they already identified that math and science is for Asians.
I see.
At that time, and they're just totally, done with it. I work with some of the kids, and the first day they say, "Oh, I can't do math. I can't do this. I can't do that." They just totally defeated when it comes to those subjects, and it's because I believe it has to be like very early. I mean, as soon as they touch the school, obviously if you could do it at home, it'll be good. But as soon as they touch the school, they have to know where these disciplines come from.
But how would you suggest that you instill this to your children or children early? How would you suggest that, by the time they're 5 or 6, how would you suggest that you push them in that direction?
I mean, if you go back, historically, you talk about, you talk about Kemet, you talk about, the pyramids, you talk about math and the first ones to write, and, the irrigation systems, the calendar, all the contributions that we have given to the world. This is what I did with my own children. So they know when they see these people, they know about MOTEP, they know about these people who have great contributions to the world. So, I think it gives them that self-esteem and that cultural confidence to go in to
cultural confidence.
Educational, because they need that. It's like literally, it's going to be like a war, because if you don't have that armor on you, once you go into this Eurocentric education, I mean, you're going to be done. And to me, it's a war. But, if you don't have the right armor, you're going to lose.
But I like what you say. It's a cultural, cultural confidence.
Cultural confidence.
Dr. Dubie, you want to make a comment about that before we go to
he said it better than I agree with every single word that he said. That's all.
We're having a conversation with Dr. Dubie Wadir, is a professor of statistics at Towson University. Our next call comes from Woody, a well-known barber here in Philadelphia. Woody is an organic intellectual. Woody, I'm sure you have a profound question to ask Dr. Dubie, correct?
Well, actually, you've had all the profound people on prior to me. I enjoyed every bit of it. Okay. I just wanted to get the doctor's number, if you can, Dr. Emeka. Okay. I'd like him to stop in my barbershop. I'd like to share a few things with him.
Sure.
Elementary education is where it all starts. And the school districts already know that. That's why so many kids that go through the 1 to 5th grade education don't get the best of that 1 to 5th grade education. Once you stop that, nothing else can get started. 1 to 3rd, you're just about shot. But 1 to 5th, if you ever watched the program, are you as smart as a 5th grader? That program, I watch it, and I still am catching up trying to find out all these things I missed when I was in school. So all I'm saying to you, and I know it's getting toward the end here, I'm not going to hold you long, Doctor, I see that there could be a way of helping the young kids, but they can't help it if this is what I call educational discrimination. The discrimination toward inner city kids is something obviously there, but nobody talks about it directly. So I think if you want to do some statistics, you could actually find so many discriminatory issues that have to do with education that cause them to go in the wrong direction. 75% of the prisons kids are illiterate. They can't read, write, spell, or count. So my thing to you, Doc, if you could get the prisons, even the adults, a good 1 to 5th grade, I'm not talking about the inner city school, I'm talking about the real good 1 to 5th grade education, reading, writing, and arithmetic, you would turn their lives around, the adults as well as the children in those prisons. that would really help. So please, I'll give you my number, 215-879-9935. Through this little barbershop, we've done a lot of things pertaining to helping people with education, because I'm one of those kids that graduated with a diploma as a receipt for educational services never truly rendered. And I've been scratching and feeling and trying to get it all my life. So I just wanted to share my little ways of trying to share that information, and I do help a lot of kids in this neighborhood, and it's just it's a shame that the districts have this educational discrimination that's stopping inner city kids from being successful.
And I will get Dr. Duby's number and give it to you, Mr.
I appreciate it, Brother Woody. I got your number.
Okay.
I appreciate it because I agree so much with lots of things that you said. Sometimes by the time they reach college or even high school, it's too late, right? If they haven't had that basis, that foundation.
Doctor, you are probably an immigrant yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
So therefore, you would need to know exactly what I'm talking about, and we're working toward getting an office down in Center City. That's what I've been pushing for, an office for non-immigrants, the children of the former chattel slaves.
Absolutely. Thank you, Woody, for your
All
call.
right, thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Yes, I will continue with that. We have a call from Maurice. Maurice from North Philly. Maurice, welcome to the show. Maurice still there, or have we lost Maurice?
Out of gentlemen. The brother before Woodar, I want to shout out to Woody too from Woodard's Barbershop, Woodar. But the brother before Woodar stated about culture. He said something about culture.
Yes, cultural pride, cultural competence.
Right. Now I want to elaborate that on further. And you asked him, how can we help the kids? Yeah. The key is our schools must be a resource center. The school must be open from 7 in the morning to 12 midnight. If we know that the schools are not teaching, we have to go back and go to the fundamental firm of what is race. And we have to look at race for what it is. Race is competition. And if my group is racing against your group, you think I'm going to help your group?
No.
That's the reality. We're not going to help your group. If my group is fighting for economics and you fight for economics, I'm going to help your group? No. So the key is the black community must take the school system. And must create a culture program where we teach the kids the culture of black and Afrocentric and our people in around the diaspora.
I got you.
We can't expect someone else to teach our people if they don't know our history or won't teach our history.
You're absolutely right. Maurice,
so we set ourselves up for failure.
Sure. We are running on time here. Maurice, you brought a very interesting point of view. You can't expect others to raise your kids and train your kids, especially at the school level. We have a call from Jonathan from Philly. Jonathan, what part of Philly are you?
Yes, sir. Hey, man, this is a great show. Great show. I'm really enjoying listening to you scholars, man, and I would say to God be all the glory. You definitely all are part of the solution and not a part of the problem.
We'll try to be.
One of the hats that I wear in Philadelphia is I am a community advocate and community engagement individual for an initiative called CS, which is an acronym for Computer Science, the number 4, Philly.
Interesting.
CS for Philly. And I am proud of our alignment with city government, Comcast, NBC Universal, the mayor of Philadelphia, and a few other players. And we're really trying to make a difference to scale up our representation in the global innovation economy. When you look at companies like Google, Microsoft, Cisco, et cetera, you see very low numbers, 3% African-American women, 2.5% African-American men. If we can change that and cause a paradigm shift, then we can reduce that cradle-to-prison pipeline. We can reduce that cradle-to-prison pipeline. We can make STEM education sexy if we change the narrative. Hello?
You
saying something?
Yeah, I just want to say that I just got a book called Prison to, a high school to prison pipeline, a book that just sent to me. And the issue is very, very critical. And I'm glad you're doing your job, your own part, doing your own part of the community here in Philadelphia. Jonathan, thank you so much for your call. Dr. Duby, do you have any?
And yes, even in these large corporations like he was referring to, Microsoft, Google, I'm a paper I'm writing right now. I don't know if you're aware, but of the Fortune 500 companies, the largest 500 companies, there's only 6 African American men in charge of them. That's 1.2%, according to my math off top. So it's again, we're working towards changing these things, but they were going to take a long time. 6 out of 500, and that's really ridiculous. Even in the NFL, there's 3 black coaches out of 30. That's 10%. So all this stuff, we sort of have the inertia of the past on top of our heads, right? And we have to push through it, sort of like quicksand. But that's why conversations like this are very important, the exchange of ideas. And what I'm hearing from your callers actually greatly encourages me that, you know, the work that I'm doing and the work that what I believe in is not going to go for naught, so to speak. You know, there actually is some hope for the future.
Sure. In your final comments, though, what advice do you have for young black kids who are interested in accounting but a little nervous about it, accounting, statistics, and science? What kind of advice do you have for them, and when should they start expressing their interest and passion?
It's really simple. Just believe in yourself. I mean, most of the students, it's believe in yourself. It's that simple. Most of the students that I teach, Towson University has one of the most diverse, it might be the most diverse business school. I don't want to say in America, but it's close. Like when I teach, I'll have a quarter of my students will be African American, most of them first generation students. And I asked them, why did you, you know, they say, oh, I had a good teacher in high school, or I had this and I had that. And now that I see you, I know that I can push forward, right? I've written 100 letters of recommendation over the last 4 years because they start to believe in themselves. I had a 7th grade math teacher, and when I saw him in charge, I said, okay, now I start to believe in myself even more. Before that, I myself, even though I was great at math, thought that I'm not going to do any math though when I go to college. I'm going to do, I want to do journalism, right? Because I'm good at writing.
Sure. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dube. We've been having a conversation with Dr. Dube Nwadira, who actually, for, you know, purposes of honesty, is my son. Dr. Dube Nwadira is my middle son, and he is made me proud. He's the professor of statistics at Towson University. So I want to tell you, son, I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. Help.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Thank you so much. We'll meet again. And next week we'll have a conversation with Dr. Ashley Stewart. She's the professor, African-American female professor here at Temple University. We're going to talk to her about experiences of what it means to be in an academy. So, stick around for the next show. Don't go away. It's about money. He's here. Take care now. If you see someone with that compassion, please give him or her one of yours because it's the right thing to do. Eric, thank you for being the great engineer you've always been. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye now. Okay.
Pico has many ways